Welcome to this fourth and final video in this series on emotional intelligence, going through each of the four quadrants. So today's topic is relationship management, otherwise known as managing the emotions of other people. And that might sound like a little bit of a strange concept at first, managing other people's emotions. But in essence, what this skill set is all about is realizing that everything I do affects the emotions of others. So every action I take, every word I say has an impact on the people around me. And if I do that well, the people around me feel good and they start liking me because I make them feel good. And because they like me, they start to treat me better. And if I'm unaware of my influence on other people, it's very easily to accidentally have the opposite effect and make the people around me feel bad, and therefore they will not like me because they don't like to feel bad. And because they don't like me, they don't treat me as well. So this is a really important skill set in terms of managing relationships and communication with other people, and just knowing what to do to get along with all the other humans in the world. So to give you a sense of what I mean when I say managing the emotions of other people, I'm going to go through an example using the emotional feedback flowchart, which I introduced in video 2, and show how in order to manage the emotions of others, we first need to master some of the skills in each of the first three quadrants. So when I am confronted with an emotional person, I'm going to have likely an emotional reaction within myself. So I need to be aware of that, which is quadrant 1. I need to manage that, which is quadrant 2. Then having regained control of myself, I can then look objectively and see what is happening for the other person, which is the social awareness and reading the emotions of others. Then after all that, I can finally get to the quadrant 4 specific skills of actually managing the emotions of the other person. So I'll give you a quick example that happened to me not all that long ago. So you probably don't need a lot of background to the story, but basically I ended up in a position where I was on the phone to a friend who was having a panic attack. And she was by herself and she was calling me and she was, panicking, had no idea what to do and was really not in a very good place. So what happens there? So if we pause there, the first thing that happens is that I react to that news. So I've just received through my senses the news of the situation of my friend. And that triggered an automatic reaction within me of, panic as well, I suppose, right? I was immediately a little bit fearful, and it triggered some automatic thoughts too. I thought, what if I can't deal with this situation? What do I do? What if it gets worse and worse and there's nothing I can do to help? So that's kind of level 1 or quadrant 1 of being aware of my own emotions and thoughts. So I could see from my own self-awareness that I was getting anxious and panicking a little bit myself because of the thought of maybe this situation is going to be out of control and something bad's going to happen and I don't know what. So once I noticed that, I moved on to quadrant 2, which is managing my own emotions. And so I had the conscious thought, now that I was aware of what was happening, the conscious thought of, it's not going to help me to panic about this situation. She's already panicking. How about I take a couple of deep breaths? I'm going to do my best. There's nothing else I can do than my best. This situation is not my fault. All I can do is try and be as supportive as possible. So with that thought, all of a sudden, now my inner dialogue is much, much healthier for responding to the situation. Now I'm thinking, everything's okay because I'm just going to do my best, and whatever happens, happens, but I'm going to do my best, and that's all I can really ask for. And so that calmed my own anxiety, and I was then in a position to come back out of my own head into what was actually happening in the situation. Good. So that is managing my own emotions, quadrant 2. So quadrant 3 is the ability to see what's happening in the other person. So let's have a look at for the moment of what was actually happening for my friend. So a panic attack is a really good example of this feedback loop going out of control. So essentially what happens in a panic attack is it doesn't really matter where it starts, but you get the thought of, I'm having a panic attack, or I might be going to have a panic attack. And when you have the awareness of that thought, that's a really scary thought. If anyone's ever been in that situation, that's not a fun situation to be in. So the very thought of I might be going to have a panic attack causes a lot of anxiety. And what happens with that anxiety is that anxiety has a physical reaction. All of a sudden, my heart rate starts to get faster. My breathing starts to get shallower. I can feel a contraction in my chest and my throat. And when I notice, or in this case, when my friend notices, I'm getting that feeling of anxiety and panic, the thought is, yes, I'm definitely having a panic attack. And this just gets worse and worse, and you go around this circle a couple of times, and pretty quickly that can get out of control. So again, let's pause there. I know what's happening, so what am I going to do to change it? So the problem, there are two problems. One is that her body is actually having an extreme amount of anxiety at the moment, which she can feel. And the other problem is that she is having the thoughts, some conscious maybe, but some maybe just as a reaction of, I am having a panic attack. This is going to get worse and worse. I don't know if anything's going to get better. And that is increasing the amount of anxiety. So the message there is there are two fronts that I can help with this problem. So what I did is I said, all we're going to do is focus on breathing. So I literally counted over the phone. We're going to breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, out 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? All I'm asking you to do is listen to my voice and focus on breathing. In 1, 2, 3, 4, out, and so on. And what that did is it accomplished two things. Firstly, slow breathing physically calms the body. So the body is in the emotional state of being really tight and anxious, which she could feel. So slow breathing actually alleviates that to a little bit of a degree. And the second thing I was doing was by deliberately getting her to focus on the thought of breathing, it meant that she couldn't focus on the thought of I'm having a panic attack. So all of a sudden, this thought of I'm having a panic attack didn't exist anymore because we were focusing on something else. So the two things that were making this situation worse, the physical anxiety and the mental panic, were taken away by that simple exercise of listen to my voice, focus on the breathing. All we're doing is breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, out 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, naturally, that didn't fix everything straight away. Obviously, there's no way to just click your fingers and fix everything. But what it did is it started to de-escalate the problem. And as soon as that was noticeable, which was probably in about 30 seconds, I started reinforcing that message. See, listen, it's getting better. I can hear in your voice, you're calming down, it's getting better, this is working, everything's going to be okay. So that was now putting in another thought into her mind that things are actually getting better, and that automatically triggers some relaxation, some letting go of some of that anxiety. Anyway, that's probably enough for the story. You get the sense of how that works and the kind of strategies that I was trying to use in terms of this flowchart to get these automatic reactions to work in our favor rather than to spiral out of control in a direction that we don't want. So I might leave it there for today. I don't know how long this video has been going for, but I feel like that's probably definitely enough for one day. Obviously, this was just one example of how to use the emotional feedback flowchart to manage my own emotions and to manage the emotions of other people. So if you're interested in going deeper in this kind of topic, again, the 4-week emotional intelligence course spends an entire week on the topic of relationship management, specifically how to deal with highly emotional people, which can be very challenging for some of us. So I hope you've enjoyed this video series sharing my special interest of emotional intelligence. If you have gotten some value out of this and you would like to support me to keep making free videos for everyone, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll be back next Saturday with this month's Patron's Choice video. See you later. Bye. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for weekly content just like this one. If you'd like to get even more involved, you can join the discussion on social media or support me by becoming a patron. Finally, I value your time, and you'll notice all my videos are ad-free, so please help me to cover what you want to hear by leaving me a comment and telling me what you think. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you another time.